All right, man, peace. So for those of you brothers who follow the NBA, you'll know that there's a difference between being a quote-unquote clutch player and being a quote-unquote clutch superstar. We know that there have been players, especially in the modern history of the NBA, who have been able to show up in pivotal moments and make big shots for their team who were not necessarily superstar players. I remember as a kid, John Paxson, who was the other guard in the Chicago Bulls backcourt, would often come up big, make huge mid-range or long-range jump shots. He hit the game-winning three-point shot in Game 6 of the 1993 NBA Finals, which cemented that third title in the first trilogy of the Chicago Bulls dynasty against the Phoenix Suns. Also, of course, you have Derek Fisher, who was a great clutch player for the early 2000s and late 2000s Los Angeles Lakers. You have Robert Horry, a.k.a. Big Shot Bob, who was known for coming up huge while playing for the Rockets, the Lakers, the Spurs, etc. There have been many great role players who came up big for their team when their team needed it the most. But that should never be confused with a clutch superstar, a player who you're in the huddle with 10 seconds left, 5 seconds left, and the coach is drawing up a play for you to go one-on-one or even one-on-two and make that big shot for your team. Whether it's been Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, or whoever, we know that there have always been superstars who have had great demands made upon them, and their responsibilities can never be compared to that of a role player, who 99 times out of 100, when they make a big shot, it's swing, 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 back to the role player with a wide open shot, and they have to make the shot. Whereas a Michael Jordan, a Kobe, a LeBron James, a Steph Curry have to face double, maybe even triple teams down the stretch of close games, particularly in the playoffs. Well, Max Kellerman, as usual, does not seem to understand that. And I just want you brothers to pay very close attention to what Max Kellerman is going to say here when he's asked, who would he rather take a clutch shot, Steph Curry or Andre Iguodala? You know, that's why the scriptures tell you, get wisdom, and with all that getting, get understanding. Of course, it's talking about the spiritual aspect when we read the scriptures, but just in general, whatever you speak on, make sure that you have an understanding of what you're saying, or you're going to make a complete fool of yourself, as Max Kellerman often does when he speaks on any topic other than boxing. And even with boxing, he makes a fool of himself sometimes, but it is what it is. So, of course, they're going to talk about it, and I'm going to chime in.
According to analytics, Isaiah loves analytics. So does Max. Both of these two.
Oh, my Lord.
Iggy had only a 24% chance of making that three-point basket, yet he delivered. Max, with the game on the line, one shot, who would you rather have taking it, Iggy or Curry?
The question itself is ludicrous because, once again, they're two different levels of player. And there's nothing against Andre, who's one of the great role players of all time, also one of the great perimeter defenders in the modern history of the NBA. He really is on that level when it comes to perimeter defense. He's on a Jordan, Scottie Pippen level. He might not get the credit, but he's up there with those guys when it comes to defending wings. But just to get back to the point, you cannot compare what Steph Curry is asked to do offensively with what Andre Iguodala is asked to do. So when I hear a question like that, basically what Molly Kern wants to know is, would you rather have Andre Iguodala take a wide open jump shot near the end of the game, or would you rather have Stephen Curry pull up from 35 feet over 2 or 3 dudes, because that will be the defensive scenario that he would have to deal with as opposed to what Andre Iguodala has to deal with.
Of everyone on Golden State, open shot, fate of the universe on the line, or the Martians have the death beam pointed at Earth, you better hit it. I want Iguodala. That's right. And I know.
Look at Isaiah Thomas and Stephen A. Smith. Stephen A. looks like he's going into a trance right now. Stephen A.'s having an out-of-body experience listening to Max Kellerman's bullshit. And Isaiah Thomas is like, this dumb motherfucker.
I know what that sounds like, and it's not.
It sounds dumb as hell.
It's not fair to Steph because so much defensive attention is paid to him. And I'm not saying Steph's not a better shooter. He's a way better shooter. Iguodala's got ice water in his veins. Iguodala is that type of player. Let me give you some examples. I'll take some baseball examples.
Well, why don't you take some basketball examples since we're talking about basketball?
A-Rod was an MVP, hit 50 home runs, this and that. Ask any Yankees fan from, 10, 15, 20 years ago. Would you rather have bases loaded World Series, you need to run Luis Sojo, the middle infielder, up, or A-Rod? Hardcore Yankees fans tell you Luis Sojo. Because when under pressure, there was something about that dude that...
Well, you know what the difference is there, Max Kellerman? Which is why you cannot make that comparison. It's basically a false equivalency. It's because whether Luis Sojo is at bat or Alex Rodriguez is at bat, they're facing the same scenario. Not equivalent necessarily, but at least they're facing one pitcher throwing from 60 feet, 6 inches away, and they have to try to hit the baseball. It's not going to be two pitchers on the mound trying to face Alex Rodriguez to confuse him because he's a better player than Luis Sojo. So that's why you really can't make that comparison. Now, of course, we know that in situational baseball, they're going to take out a certain pitcher, bring a different pitcher in, the defense will shift, so on and so forth. But just for the sake of the conversation, you can't make a baseball comparison with basketball.
That was cool, and something about A-Rod that wasn't. I mean, that's what it is.
Love Steph Curry's the greatest shooter of all time.
Until it matters most.
That's a media narrative, and it's totally based on Steph Curry's performance in the 2016 finals. For the most part, other than the 2016 finals, he has shown up. Has he had blips? Yes, but I think that Steph Curry's issues tend to be a lack of focus for whatever reason, for whatever reason that might be. And also, he does struggle with his basketball IQ. What I mean by that is he's a little bit too bold and daring out there on the basketball court in pivotal moments when you should be more conservative. He's kind of like the Brett Favre of basketball. He's either going to do something spectacular or he's going to do something that's going to have you scratching your head like, what the fuck is this dude thinking about right now? Like in Game 2 near the end when he just takes the basketball and throws it up to the ceiling after Boogie Cousins has a foul called on him. It's like, what are you thinking about, man?
Let me tell you something my dad used to tell me about Billy Martin, and I've heard Billy Martin say this.
Still alive?
He is. Big fan of yours, by the way. Careful, he's a big fan of yours.
He's mad at you.
Max Kellerman said, careful, he's a big fan of yours. In other words, he's anticipating Isaiah Thomas calling him an idiot.
You right now.
Listen, Billy Martin, manager for the Yankees, used to play second base for the championship teams. Used to go 1 for 4 in the regular season, 250 average lifetime, 1 for 3 in the postseason, 333 in the postseason. Not a power hitter. Used to say, whatever it was 1 for 4 or 1 for 3, my one hit would kill you. Mark Jackson was here saying Iggy's like good for great defense and 11 points. Every single one of Iggy's 11 points will kill you. High leverage moment, fate of the universe on the line. I want open shot, not go get it. I want Iguodala taking that shot for me.
My money is on number 30, Steph Curry.
Yeah, you have to be a damn fool to choose Iguodala over Steph Curry. It's nothing against Iguodala. Iguodala has great intangibles. He reminds me a lot of Tony Kukoc. They're not the same type of player at all. But to Max Kellerman's point, in pivotal moments, Tony Kukoc would have 25-point games. I remember in Game 7 of the 1998 Eastern Conference Finals, he was the best player that the Bulls had on offense for a stretch from the mid-second quarter all the way through the mid-third quarter. He was pretty much carrying the team offensively when Jordan started to tail off. Jordan did not shoot well that game. He dominated in all the other aspects, but when it came to offense, Jordan was not playing well in Game 7 against the Indiana Pacers in the Eastern Conference Finals in 1998. So Tony really stepped up. And Andre's that type of player. Andre Iguodala is the type of player who in a Game 7, he'll give you 25 points out of nowhere. So I get where Max Kellerman is coming from, but they're just two different types of players. What's asked of them is totally different. Steph Curry is that dude where the coach tells his team, even when he does not have the basketball, whoever the player is who's supposed to guard Steph Curry, you never leave him. And there should also be another spy watching wherever Steph Curry is running to, because we know he's never going to stop moving. That's the type of attention that defenses place on Steph Curry.
Open shot, fate of the universe online, give me number 30. I'm going with number 30 every single time. Ice water, hot water, no water, warm water. If it's an open shot, give me number 30 to take the open shot, to make it and win it.
I agree when it comes to the comparison between Steph Curry and Iguodala. I agree with that.
Well, see, the problem that I have with your analysis, Isaiah Thomas, is the fact that you have a smile on your face while doing it, like it's funny to entertain this nonsensical take by my partner here and Max Kellerman. This is a guy that religiously leans on numbers, and the numbers show that Steph Curry is arguably the greatest shooter we have ever seen in our lives. But Max Kellerman wants to ignore those numbers when it comes to an Andre Iguodala. There is no doubt he's an NBA Finals MVP for a reason. He makes open shots. A matter of fact, to give Max credit, I've leaned on Iguodala as a big reason as to why I've got them winning this series. But why? Why is because he's gonna be left open. Why is he left open? Because Steph Curry is his teammate. That's why. What did Nick Nurse say in the post-game conference? We doubled Steph. That's what he said. In other words, we'll concede, we'll leave anybody open, anything but allow him to have the ball. Iguodala, when he was MVP, he was what?
Which he should not have been. Steph Curry should have been the MVP of those 2015 NBA Finals.
Wide open. Cleveland left them wide open because they had to concede. Somebody had to shoot the ball, and they didn't want Clay, and they didn't want Steph to shoot it. Steph Curry is so great as a shooter, they would rather mug him and leave somebody else wide open than man up against him at the risk of somebody else taking a shot. I mean, it's not
right on the facts. I can't dispute any of that. Let me ask you.
But let me just say this. Livingston made the play.
Yes, by stepping to the ball. By stepping to the ball and preventing the steal.
But the second part of that was he looked at Steph, and everybody went to Steph, so he made the no look, and he hit Iggy. That's what gave Iggy the time. The most important part of the play, if you go back and you look at the film, Livingston got the basketball. Okay, you got to run it back a little bit more.
You got to run the play back a little bit more,
and then you see. Watch the look off. You see the look off?
Yeah, that was a great look off there.
That's what gave him the time to get the shot. That was the most important. That was the most important part of the play, was the look off, which gave Iggy another second.
And you heard Nick
to get
Nurse
ready to knock it down.
You heard Nick Nurse saying, like, this is our defensive strategy. Like, it's not disrespectful for Iguodala. I'm not denying any of this. But would you concede this? Was Robert Horry the best three-point shooter in the league?
No.
With the money on the line, who do you want taking that shot?
Right, but that's not really the question. An equivalent question would be, is Robert Horry, or was he the best three-point shooter in the league at the time? Of course, the answer is no. But who would you want taking the big shot at the end of the game, Robert Horry or Kobe Bryant? That would be the equivalency of this conversation where you're trying to say that you want Iggy to take the shot over Steph.
Time out.
They're money on the line shooters.
But here's what you're missing. Robert Horry, without those clutch moments that you're talking about, was a better shooter than Iguodala.
Yes.
So in other words, what I'm trying to say to you, he was a threat at any point in the game. Iguodala, as the pressure mounts, he rises to the occasion.
Well, so does Horry. Once again, the real aspect of what Max Kellerman is asking by bringing in the Robert Horry factor is he's attempting to create a red herring, where now he wants to equate Iguodala with Robert Horry. Those are two separate things. It's not about equating Iguodala with Robert Horry. It's about equating Iggy and Steph with Robert Horry and Kobe. That would be the equivalency, because you have to have both players on both teams. And no one is going to say that they would rather have Robert Horry take a big shot than Kobe Bryant, especially if both players were wide open.
But he's not a shooter. Robert Horry was always a shooter.
For a big guy, he was
always a shooter.
For a big guy, he was a shooter.
Antonio, Houston, LA.
But a lot like Iggy, and he had Horry had a better rep. But a lot like Iggy, he was a defensive player who shot under pressure.
Let me give you the huddle. If you sit in that huddle and Steve Kerr designs the last shot for Iggy and don't go to Clay and Steph, Iggy gonna say, no, I don't want that. Robert Horry gonna say, no, I don't want that shot. They get those shots.
I'm not quite sure if they're going to say I don't want that shot, but I understand what you're trying to convey. Basically, Isaiah Thomas is conveying the same sentiment that I stated, which is that there are levels. It's one thing to get a wide open shot off of a swing, and it's a whole other thing to be in the huddle and have a play designed for you where you know all the pressure is going to be on you.
That's coming out of because of Clay, because of Steph.
For example, when Phil Jackson designed the play for Michael Jordan in the 1997 NBA Finals in Game 6, and Michael Jordan leans over to Steve Kerr and says, you know that they're going to come double me. When they do so, be ready.
Because Elijah won, because of Shaq, then ain't no pressure.
Right, so Steph misses the shot, long rebound to Iggy, and he wins the game. Is that what you're saying?
When you sitting there and that coach is calling your number, you hear it loud in the arena. I got to make this shot. The pressure's on me. Everybody's looking at me.
The other pivotal point to bring up is this. with Olajuwon, with Shaq and all of those guys. You're looking for something on the interior. In the case of Steph Curry or Klay Thompson, you are looking for something on the perimeter, and Iguodala wouldn't dare think he should be an option ahead of Steph Curry under any circumstances.
You wouldn't pinch hit Luis Soho for Alex Rodriguez with the bases loaded either. No manager would do that.
That's a bad example,
But if
Max.
Soho came up, the Yankees fans would have been happy. There are some dudes. This is what we're arguing about. We're all conceding Iggy is clutch, right? But you're saying, but it's kind of accident. He'll get the ball almost accidentally.
I'm addressing your,
That's what happened. They do get it
And I'm saying, as a fan of the team, you're happy
But
he's
I'm
got the
addressing
ball.
your analogy and using it as a bad one because guess what? Steph Curry is covered. They're doing anything they can to keep the ball out of his
That's
hands.
right.
Alex Rodriguez gets a chance to come up the bat.
Yep.
He gets a chance to come up the bat. And Steph Curry, they're like, no, you ain't getting the ball. We will mug you before we let you get the ball.
Right.
That's the difference.
I guarantee you, all these fans that were sitting behind, that's sitting behind us tonight. That's sitting behind us. When Iggy got the basketball, they were happy it wasn't Steph.
Oh, let me tell you something.
They were happy it wasn't Steph.
I predicted the Raptors would win both
They were
games at
happy
home,
with it,
and when I saw the ball in Iggy's hands, I thought, that's it. They're going to get the split. I knew Iggy was going to hit that
Well,
shot.
we knew Iggy was going to hit it. However, you didn't want Steph to shoot it.
No, Max wants Iggy, alone or not.
Max Kellerman is on his anti-Steph Curry vibe right now. He needs somebody to fuck with because James Harden is gone.
No,
I'd rather have Iggy taking that shot.
Iggy wants Steph to take it.
I understand. I want Iggy to take it.
Thank you so much for being with us. Appreciate you.
It is
A
good
lot
to
of fun,
see. He
as
needs
always.
prayer.
Coming up.
Stephen A. said Max Kellerman needs prayer. Oh, man. But anyway, peace.